Today's guest is a stand-up comedian and podcaster. You might know him from his online sketches. Please give it up for the very funny and talented Jake Ricca. Jake Ricca, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Hi. What's up?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, dude, tell me, you moved to Austin when?
January 1st, 2024 is when I drove up. So I've been here a year and 6 months.
Nice. And you said you learned how to do all of your behind-the-scenes stuff where?
I just YouTube.
YouTube, on the fly, taught it yourself. No, like film school or anything?
No, YouTube, trial error, and buying like smaller cameras, using free software, and then slowly just upgrading. Yeah. And using the paid stuff.
Great. Well, dude, I got to tell you, I'm so happy that you are here, just not only on the pod, but like in Austin, because I've been here since 2021 begging for people to like go out and make something like sketches or whatever the fuck. And nobody ever did it. And now I feel like all these Florida guys get here and you guys are just content machines, just like pumping it out, not only with stand up, but like sketches and podcasts. And tell me about that. Well, have you always been that way? Is it like something you guys turned up to overdrive when you got to Austin?
It's something that, for me, I've been doing it in Orlando before I got here. I was doing it, like, since I started comedy, I was, like, trying to make sketches. My immediate thought was, like, I want to make sketch comedy.
What kind of sketch? Are you like, I want to get on SNL, or like, I want to be like Key and Peele, or what was the
my own
idea?
stuff?
You wanted to do specifically, but like live sketch or only
like online?
Online, okay.
That was the original thought. Was like, I want to make funny shit. Yeah. And when I started making it, I realized I'm not that good at it. This actually isn't as funny as it was in my head, and I just wasn't portraying things the right way. So I then jumped into stand-up comedy, and I was like, if I can get decent at that, I'll at least understand comedy, because it's brutal with stand-up where they're just right to your face. You'll know it's not funny immediately versus a sketch. I'm laughing. I think it's funny, and I put hours of time into it, and then I show it to people, and they're like, this is stupid as shit.
Yeah, that hurts almost more than a bomb in stand-up.
It does, but it's like I needed something. I just needed to like recalibrate my head and really understand how comedy works, and I felt like stand-up was like the rawest form. It's like stand, deliver, and make sure they understand a premise, set up, punch, all that.
I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up, because tell me about, I specifically remember being like, maybe the first 3 years of stand-up, like, I thought I was funny my whole life. I like grew up and I thought that was like one of my defining characteristics. And you do stand-up and you're like, oh, I'm the most unfunny guy in the entire world. Like, I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Did you feel that way at all or no?
I was very fortunate. The first 2 times I did stand up, I didn't bomb.
Really?
And that's
Where was that?
It was a place called Austin's Coffee, actually.
Okay.
And this was in Orlando. First time, I wasn't killing, but I still have the recording. I listened back, like the entire room was laughing. I was like,
and you can listen to it. You can't just like cringe through.
I do cringe through it, but I listened to it. But the first 2, they weren't bad, but they weren't by no means like good. Yeah. But it wasn't like face melting bomb. Like, oh, get them off. And then the third time I went up, that's when I bombed, and I was like, oh, I don't think you're supposed to bomb. I suck at this, and I quit.
Really? How long?
I quit for like a couple months, and then started doing improv. And that, dude, I have friends that do improv.
Zip, zap, zop.
Zip, zap, zop. Bro, I have some friends that are very funny actors and good at improv, but I'm doing the class, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, none of what we're doing is funny, and everyone here is laughing. Yeah. I was like, what's going on right now? Like, this isn't real.
Yeah, they're laughing, I think, out of like almost like that like corporate laughing where you're like, this is so crazy that we're all doing this.
Yeah. It was like they were laughing just at the attempt. Yeah. And then we had like this live, like at the end of the class, you did a thing where like everyone's friends and family came in. It was like 100 people. And I'm sitting there just watching. I'm like, this is so fucking whack. And I felt bad because I'm still friends with a couple of guys and they still do it. But I'm like, dude, yeah, this isn't real. No one's being mean to me and letting me know that's not funny.
Yeah, and you think that's necessary?
It's extremely necessary. Yeah, I jumped back into comedy and I did it every night for about 8 years before moving here.
Wow.
After that. And yeah, it was, I have a very, very like definitive moment where I remember I had like one of my first good, like actually like good sets where it was like, I probably had the best set of the entire night. I remember I got off stage, my friends are like, dude, that was fucking good. You finally have a closing bit. That was awesome. And then one of the old heads was just like, you still fucking suck, right?
Yeah.
I was like, Now, you're right.
When you say old heads, what do you mean old heads?
Someone that had just been, at the time, it was an old head. Yeah, let me correct that. At the time, he was someone that had been doing it for like probably 8 years.
Yeah.
But he was just older and just in the game long enough to know that it was like, yeah, you had one good set. You need to be knocked down a peg.
Sure.
You need to know that you need to keep working.
Do we need that?
Some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people will understand, like, I had a good night. I still need to work on it. There's people that have one good set, and they're like, dude, I can headline.
Yes, but those
like
people are crazy.
Yeah, but you're acting like there's not a lot of people that are crazy in comedy.
Here's the craziest thing. Ready? This is the craziest thing. Oftentimes, like, the ones that have the confidence are like, I can headline.
Yeah.
They probably could. Like, not in a real club.
True.
But, like, you could do a lot. The crazy ones, I'm always surprised at, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes you get a homeless guy that just signs up at the Creek open mic, and then he goes up and kills. And you're like, oh, this is stupid. Like, what? We're putting so much pressure and everything on this, but it is jokes.
There's definitely people who are like, they just got it.
Yeah.
Like, people that are just instantly funny going forward. Like,
and that's why I'm like, whenever I hear the guy that like has to butt into you and your friends like taking a win and he goes, you still fucking suck, right? That just sounds bitter to me, no?
It's definitely bitter. He's definitely a bitter person.
Okay.
I've never been like that. I've always had, like, the new guys have always just been nice. And I don't say good set to anyone unless it was a good set.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, you don't have to lie to them. You don't have to be like, you do deserve the headline now. But
some people feel like they do. I've watched people eat fat dick on stage and 3 or 4 people, good set.
Yeah, well, that's the problem is when you don't even know what a good set is. You know what I mean? You're just so used to bombing that you get one laugh and you're like, dude, I crushed.
Yeah. But what I was getting at as far as the content, that harshness of stand-up, that was like the environment I was brought up in. So I just applied that to my content going forward. And I just really started, when I would make something, I'm just like, is this good? And then I'd show it to my friends who would be harsh with me and just be like, no, I don't understand what you're doing. This isn't good. Like, if I were you, I'd remove this. All this is just fluff. Remove that. Or even just, I don't like the sketch at all.
Yeah.
And once I started looking at my shit really objectively, I just started going viral consistently.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's a really good way of doing it, is where you're able to be objective and look at it as if it's someone else's. Tell me, how do the sketches play into like the way you think of comedy? Like, oh, this is a stand-up bit, this is a sketch. How do you separate them? And do you go in looking to write one versus the other, or does it just come to you? I
don't know. Now that I think about it, typically a lot of the sketches I made, I was sitting on for years, and like I wrote, like, this would be such a funny scene, like in a movie, or a funny scene in a sketch show, and I made those. And I guess it was just stuff I thought of in passing. But stand-up is mostly something happens to you in real life, and you're like, oh, this is a really weird scenario. I'm gonna write this down. And then, sorry, I'm drinking carbon. I'm trying my hardest not to burp right now.
Dude,
into the mic.
Relax, brother. We're chilling.
But for stand-up, it's mostly just what awkward experience happened to me as of late, or what stupid contradicting thing did I see that I'm like, that's dumb, I want to talk about it. And then I can talk about it on stage. If I'm like, I don't know, it's not hitting the way I want it to, I might turn that into a sketch, because then I can really highlight the absurd stuff I'm thinking about in my head. Yeah,
and how long does it take you to make a sketch?
Depends on what level. Like a green screen sketch, I could do that in a day.
Yeah. Like, is that like the DeAndre Holmes stuff? Because that's very funny.
That whole process is Jolly comes over to my house, he smokes, we sit down, we write for maybe 30 minutes. Sometimes we have another comic, like Jimmy Moynihan will be there a lot of times with us in the writing room.
Yeah.
And we'll write for, I'm not kidding, 20, 30 minutes. We go up and I have a TV, and I just airplay my phone to it. And I just have bullet points of everything we're going to say. And I sit behind the camera and I just direct them. And then anything we think about on the spot, I'm like, give me like 3 takes of that. And then as he's just riffing, we just keep throwing in new scenarios. Comics will just show up to my house and I'm like, get up there. Yeah. And then we just throw them in as a character. And we have like all the different outfits. But
how did you guys all get together working? Was it just, have you been doing this since Florida?
With Jolly, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, I've been doing stand-up in Florida for the past like 2, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
But me and Jolly started, I think, like maybe a few months apart.
I started stand-up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we started in the same scene, and I think I've been making sketches with Jolly since probably like 2018, 2017,
Okay,
2018.
Wow. So you feel very confident now with the sketches. At this point, you've got it down.
I know how to make a good thing.
Yeah.
And for the green screen stuff, that gets done in, it's literally 2 hours between writing and shooting. And then now I can get it down to where it's like 3, maybe at most 5 hours of editing. So it's like 8-hour turnaround in total work.
Yeah. I mean, that's still a lot of work. I don't think a lot of people quite understand how much work there is behind the scenes. Like, to just see a video, like a green screen video, and think, oh, it took him, 5 hours to edit this.
Yeah.
Because it does, for sure. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. The first like 4 or 5 was taking me like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because I was like I wasn't so much unsure of myself, but I was just like, I remember, because the process used to be, we didn't do that writing portion of it. We had a funny idea, and I would just sit behind and just yell lines at him, and then Jolly would riff of like fucking 7 lines of his own, and then it would turn into 45 minutes to an hour filming that I would have to sift through and find the best takes.
And that's miserable.
Yeah. And so it would take me 10 hours just because I would have to watch through an hour of footage multiple times because I was worried that, fuck, did I miss the best take?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, I have it really streamlined and cut that filming in half, and I know what exact takes I want, like, as he's there.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm way more efficient when it comes to picking the better take now.
That's awesome. And now, where do you see this going with your sketches? Is this something you want to continue to do, like, in perpetuity? Do you think if they reach a certain level of, like, popularity, you would want to, like, make it into, like a sketch show, kind of like Key and Peele, or even like the way Josh and Spencer are doing their sketches now, where they're like tying them all together and putting them up on YouTube?
I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
I've already made a lot of people, I haven't showed a lot of people in the scene, but I made a full web series that is about a feature film length. It's about an hour and a half long.
Oh, shit,
Shot
dude.
with full cast crew. I think we had like 8 locations.
Where'd you do this?
20 actors in Orlando.
Okay, cool. Tell me about it. I'm super interested.
Yeah.
We just did a web series as well.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about mine. You tell me about yours.
Well, yeah, I just want to hear about yours.
All right, good point. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, over pandemic, I blew up. I went from like 0 following online to I broke 100K on YouTube like fairly quickly.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And it was all gaming, stand-up, and just like stupid sketches.
Yeah.
And I pitched an idea to my friend group that I was making stuff with, and the idea was just, all right, let's make the come up of a streamer, like showing like this weird world of like a grown man getting into video game streaming.
Oh, is that something you're into just regularly?
Nowadays, no. I really don't play video games anymore, but over pandemic, I couldn't do stand-up.
Sure.
So I was gaming every day.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is a universe I know that if I talk about gaming stuff, it's actually authentic.
Yeah.
It's very different from like a guy coming in on the sidelines being like, there's a lot of money in gaming. I need to talk about it.
Yeah, totally.
This was someone that played more than he should have, being like, all right, I'm going to complain and make fun of this.
Sure. And now just so I'm not very good with gaming or streaming or anything.
Yeah.
The main point is they're playing like a Call of Duty and then they're commenting over it, or is it like they just want to see people that are really good at it, or what's the main the draw?
It's usually for streamers. It's one of 3 things. It's either the person's like so fucking good at the game, it's like you're just blown away by how good they are, or they're usually like a big personality.
Okay, that makes sense.
But those big personalities end up being pretty damn good at the game.
Sure.
Like one of the biggest, if not, he's got to be like top 2 or 3 for gaming is like Tim the Tap Man, and he's way better. Like he would dunk on any average player. Yeah. But then like the streaming community will like talk shit and be like, oh, he sucks. Yeah. Because there's like the MLG like pros that are like they're literally just like the best gamer in the world at like this specific game that is streaming.
Yeah.
And they'll talk shit about him, but it's like, no, that guy will dunk on everyone that's watching him.
Sure. And I imagine in my head, it's kind of also like WWE, where it's like if you can just rock the mic, it doesn't matter how big or strong you are or how good at gaming, you'll eat, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of like streamers that aren't good that just have a good personality.
Like CM Punk, right? Like CM Punk looks like me. He shouldn't be a WWE fighter, but he's like, heavyweight champion, whatever.
And he knew how to talk shit.
Yeah, exactly. Rock the mic.
That, or it's okay. So one of those 2 things: you're either a big personality, you are really good at the game, or you are just extremely like attractive.
Hot girl.
Yeah, hot girl, hot tub stream, like shit.
But
like
there's
that.
never hot dudes.
There's definitely hot dudes.
Really, there's dudes in the baby tub. Or
I don't know. I don't watch them, but
Jake,
I'm just sure there's definitely hot dudes that do that.
Okay.
That just like dress up in a cosplay and then they sit on their live stream talking to women and dudes. Like, you know, there's definitely
more
a
dudes.
market.
For sure, more dudes are
probably. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Okay,
maybe.
Okay, so your web series, you took like the story of an up and coming streamer.
Yeah.
Were you the streamer?
And yeah, I played the streamer.
Okay.
In it. And the story is basically, this is a streamer. He's like, at the time I was like 28. We just did it me. The character was Jake.
Yeah.
So we just did it that way. And it's a 28-year-old guy that wants to be a streamer. His friends are constantly like, yo, you're an adult, get a fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, grow the fuck up. And he keeps pushing back, saying, no, I want to stream. His friends force him to take, like, a job interview. He ends up landing the job. And as he, like, gets there on his first day of the job, his content starts going viral. And now he goes from 0 to, like, he has, like, 10, 20,000 subs on YouTube. And it's now, oh, wow, I'm viral and I'm trending. So now he lands this full-time job that's paying him. And he's now has the actual potential to have an online like streaming career.
Is the regular job like a corporate job?
It's a corporate sales gig.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now it's just following him as he's like, I don't make anything off YouTube yet, but I need to make money, so I have to work this day job. So it's someone working a full-time job trying to become a streamer, and it's showing like him at work, like falling asleep at work, how gaming's interrupting his job, how the job's interrupting gaming. His boss is a complete psychopath.
Yeah.
Like basically like a mob guy, and he may or may not have killed a bunch of people. You don't know.
Okay.
In the show, we have.
Wait, is this on YouTube?
Yeah.
And I can see this all on YouTube?
The entire show.
Oh,
yeah.
I would love to watch it, dude. Send it over. Can I ask you? Tell me how long it took from like generation of the idea until here it is. It's done.
Okay.
How long do you think it was?
I thought of the idea. I pitched it to my friend group, and then we had the first episode done probably like, I'd say 3 months later.
That's pretty impressive.
For the first step, and then we were gonna keep going and make more, but our director got cancer, and he ended up beating it.
Okay, good for him.
He's fine, and then we shot 4 episodes probably in a span of like 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And we just locked in, and we like got an office space, and we just, all right, we're shooting every office scene here. And then we just got there with full cast film crew at like 8 a.m. and we just didn't leave until like 12 at night.
Now, what kind of crew?
We have all the actors in it were comics, and then we got like we auditioned a couple people for the female lead. Sorry, the cough is burping me up.
You're good, brother. You're good.
For the female lead, and then we got sound. We had our like DP. Director of photography. It felt skeleton crew, but we had someone working everything. We had someone setting up all the lights.
It sounds really professional from.
No, yeah, it looks real. I promise you, it looks really good, and it sounds good too.
So you did all this during the pandemic?
Just after.
Well, this was Florida, so it wasn't really the pandemic.
Yeah, we had pandemic for 4 months, like realistically.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome, dude. How was it? Tell me about that experience. Like going in, were you nervous? Were you?
No. After the first episode, I got outclassed as an actor by the guy who played the boss.
Yeah.
Is a very funny comic. His name's Dean Napolitano. It was the difference between a bunch of comics like, oh, we can make a fun sketch and act versus like, oh, this guy's a real fucking actor and he acted in like movies.
Yeah.
And then seeing him, and then that was the only nervousness I felt. And then I took an acting class for like a year.
Yeah.
And made sure I got my chops up and understood.
Well, that was another thing that I wanted to tell you is like I watch you in all these sketches and all these different videos, and you are a real actor. Like I can tell that you have acting chops, and like not only that, but you clearly enjoy it too.
Yeah.
And this is something that like you want to continue.
Yes, 100%.
I think that's so cool, and I think that is also something you have to learn. Like I always thought that I wanted to be in it, but I fucking hate acting. Like I just don't like being on camera, which is so strange for, I guess, a stand-up. But I much prefer being behind the scenes. Is it weird when you're acting and you're also trying to do everything behind the scenes? Like you were one of the writers, producers of this web series. How was that? Were you able to just be an actor in that moment, or are you also thinking, I wonder if it looks good? I wonder if this.
For as far as wondering if it looked good, I didn't have to worry about that. I got very lucky. We had our director of photography, Luke Dupuis. He lives in Atlanta now. He like works on like, he's like holding camera and like setting up shots for like Netflix and stuff.
Oh, cool.
We got very we got very lucky with this crew. Did
you have a budget, or is this just like
I ended up dropping like around $20K on it.
Okay.
For like the whole series, which is
that's cheap.
Yeah, it's very cheap for when you're trying to make something like that. But yeah, he made sure everything looked good. We went through a couple sound guys, and then we found one that stuck with us through the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about it looking or sounding good. The only thing was just directing and acting, and then we decided to have someone just be a dedicated director. He acted in it as well, but he didn't have as many scenes as I did, so I was able to kind of disassociate from that.
Yeah.
But that the first episode, I was wearing damn near every hat you could.
I bet, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that was the stressful app.
Yeah, it's not something you want to do. Do you think that, like, looking back, what would you have done differently?
What would I have done differently? I don't know. Because it's, I guess, just planned more for, like, the following, like, episodes to come. Like, if it was something I wanted to continue making, like, think about, like, all right, let's immediately get into the writing room to follow up writing on this so we have it on paper. And then if we want to do it, we already had it written while we were in that headspace.
Yeah.
Because now if we wanted to write more, we have to, like, get everyone back together and be like, all right, here's where we left off. Where are we going now? Versus, like, if we had something on paper and it's like, oh, this shit's good, and then we're sitting on it, we could eventually just make it. But now we have to come up with the inspiration to make it again.
Sure.
And, like, if I was to just start filming something like that big again, I don't know how. I think I could do it up here, but it's just there's the amount of work we got done in, like, 3 to 5 weeks was crazy.
Yeah. Now, did you edit it?
Yeah.
How was that?
I didn't mind it at all.
Really? You don't? Whenever, like, with all the footage and everything and all the different tracks, I imagine it was a beast.
It was we have right now at my house, I have a 10 terabyte and a 20 terabyte, both full of just that show. Well, because we shot all on Blackmagic's and we shot everything in RAW, and we just took, we like slated
you saved the original files.
I have the original files in case I want to go back and do anything.
Those are huge.
Yeah. I figured it was like, I'll buy a couple. I had to be very careful with the hard drives so they don't get corrupted. But I was like, I'll drop $500, and now this entire project is backed up. If I were to, like, if someone wanted to take it and completely re-edit it, they could.
Yeah.
So I have all the original stuff, and
that's so cool. I'm like so impressed by that. I love people that just go off and do it. Now, as someone that's already done a project, first off, I'll say, how was it received?
The first episode did really well. It got like 70K on YouTube, and then we had like 4 or 5 clips from it go like viral. Like a couple of the reels got like, one got like 7 mil, one got 5. Like the first episode wasn't received extremely well.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episodes, we took a full year off, and I was part of a startup. I won't dive too much into that because it's different from the content. But while all this was happening, I co-founded a startup, and we got funded.
For what? Startup for what?
Like, it's a startup for, do you know what a CRM is for like sales?
Yes.
We created a CRM for the construction industry that just random people that like a small contractor could use.
What do you do?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm just so confused how this, where does this come from? This is like your day job, or?
No, that was my buddy came to me because he knew I knew how to sell with this idea. I sold it for him, brought me on as co-founder. We built a company, and it got funded by like investors, and we were like trying to get a Series A and like trying to get into like become a real big company.
Yeah.
And while that was all happening and we were hiring and I was managing people, my YouTube blew up to 100K.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I have to pick one or the other. And while I was juggling both of those, that's where I had the idea for Get Good. Sorry, I'm very scatterbrained.
No, I like it. Keep going.
But this is what made me make Get Good. But I was like, the startup is, not a lot of people are doing a startup. I just want to give them a corporate job that people can relate to.
Yeah.
So I changed it from a startup to a corporate job. But we were asking how it got received. That was it.
Yeah.
So after the first episode came out, I was like, I want to do an entire, season of it. But I took almost an entire year of posting off, and it was just diving like full into the startup, and that was like 80-hour weeks. And we went from like being a team of where I was having comics in my house teaching them how to sell. Like I had a call center pretty much in my house, and I was paying comics like salary, insurance, benefit, like everything. And we were doing all that, and I was just kind of neglecting my YouTube channel. And then a year went by, and I was like, I haven't posted anything, and I have 400,000 subs just from the previous content I built. And then I ended up walking away from the startup and then just put out a full web series. So the first episode received crazy will. The rest of the web series, everyone that watched it, every comment is positive, which is crazy.
It's just not as many views.
Nowhere near as many, like 2,000 views an ep.
Yeah.
My channel went from being like everything I put out was like going viral to, all right, now it's like not even getting put into the algorithm.
So do you regret that break or no?
No, I learned a lot. I still own part of that startup, and they're doing really well. So that can eventually net me a lot of revenue to where I can go and fund my own movie is the goal.
That's so cool. And what do you do? Do you have like a day job or no?
No, I saved up enough through that startup to move out here and just only do comedy and content. And now with the DeAndre videos, that's basically became a day job. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of, I have a whole crazy, I'll tell you about what we're doing for that. I'm very excited about because I think it's going to turn into a tour.
Dude, I love it. I love that. Keep going. Tell me more.
So before, I guess to wrap up the Get Good thing, we made the whole web series. We got pretty much every comic from Orlando is in it. We have like...
Is Cam in it?
Cam was in it before he blew up.
Yeah.
Jolly was supposed to be in it, actually in Cam's role, but Jolly, like, he couldn't make it. He had like work and shit that day. I wrote it with, do you know Christoph Jean?
Yeah.
I wrote me.
I didn't realize he was a Florida boy.
He moved here from New York, but...
Yeah, because I met him in New York when he was with Luke already.
Yeah.
Okay. Luke is not Florida, is he?
No, Luke was, Luke's a New York guy.
Got it, okay.
I think Boston originally, then New York.
Okay.
Or something like that, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Me and Christoph started around the same time, too, with Jolly, and then we all made stuff together. This web series was written by me, Christoph, and Joe Jacks, and then we produced it. Christoph moved to New York. Our director got cancer, and then big break. Everyone came back after he beat cancer. We shot the rest of it, and then we just chopped it up, clipped it up, and then everyone just kind of moved on and kept creating things on their own.
Yeah.
So that was the last of that.
Okay, so you're in Florida.
Yeah.
You drop the rest of this web series, and you're working in a startup, and then you realize, I got to move. I got to go to Austin.
Yeah.
What's that impetus? What makes you come? Just what's happening here? It's the stand-up capital of the world, yada, 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 Rogan's Club. Is that what it is?
No, I had this idea in my head of when I'm 30, I need to live in a city that I can make a career out of this in. And Orlando, you get with online, you could really make it anywhere, but Orlando isn't a city that you can like do 7 club spots or some shit like that, you know? So I was like, my plan was to go on a little like tour of just visiting places. I wanted to visit New York. I wanted to visit Atlanta. I wanted to visit Chicago, Cali, and Austin ended up being the first place I went to. As I had a bunch of friends here, and Cam at the time was blowing up.
Yeah.
And I went and visited here, and I was like, holy shit, I just did 13 spots in a week. And there's still untapped stuff I didn't even get to do.
Yeah.
I was like, if you move here and become like one of like the guys that gets put on everything, you can get so fucking good at comedy.
Sure.
But you need to become one of those people.
Yeah.
So I was like, this place might have the potential. And then I went back, I thought about it, and I was like, why am I going to go visit all these other places and spend money? I think Austin's the move. I got here, and then within a matter of months, like everyone who was good from like Orlando, Tampa, and my friends who had moved to New York and Cali, they all just started coming here.
Yeah.
So it ended up working out.
How do you balance the sketch content life versus stand-up?
Well, stand-up's at night, luckily.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a crazy balance. You just do stand-up at night.
I just mean like, let's say you start doing stand-up more, you're going to go on the road. Do you think you'll be able to make sketches on the road?
Yeah, because especially green screen. It's just a green sheet.
Yeah.
I'll bring my cameras, and we just got to get a light wherever we go.
Cool. Now tell me about the tour you said.
This is the goal.
The goal.
So we have right now for the DeAndre videos that we've been making.
For those of you that don't know, DeAndre, he makes the video with David Jolly where he's like basically like a hood version of Sherlock Holmes.
That's one of them. It's
Okay.
DeAndre Holmes, not to be confused with Sherlock.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically just a character that he does every single job, and the internet fucking loves him. Every comment is positive, and they go viral.
Well,
Like
they're very funny.
Yeah,
And he's just so personable too.
It's very much like Tim and Eric style editing.
Yeah.
With like Chappelle show, like subject matter, like comedy behind it.
Yeah.
Like the most common comments we get are comparing us to those two.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really quick cuts, funny, like goofy music, over the top, and we just put them in different jobs. So I think we haven't missed a week, and we're at like 13 weeks in, and every other comment's like, do this job, do this job, do this job. So we built a website called hiredeandre.com.
Okay. It's a real website?
It's a real website. You can go to it now, and a video pops up. It's DeAndre thanking you for coming. Submit your job. When you submit a job, email, city, state is required. So we just have an email list. So we can start.
And you get people are filling them out?
Yeah, we have like 1,300 or something like that so far.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so smart.
And when you fill these out, it automatically spits out a prompt.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you want him to be a lawyer. It'll say DeAndre the divorce lawyer. That was the most voted one, and we ended up making that video. You submit that, and whenever your idea pops up, we fed all of the scripts to an AI, and it spits out like a paragraph as if it was DeAndre typing it. And it'll be like, hey, yo, what's up? This is DeAndre. For $5,000, I'll get your broke ass off of any deal or whatever. Like, it literally spits out a full paragraph as if it was him typing it.
Yeah.
And now, one thing that we're working on now, I'm excited to see it. We took like a full body scan of Jolly, like front, side, back, everything in between. And now whenever they submit an idea, it should spit out an AI image of him in that character.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we built a whole website with a community there for people to submit. And people.
This is so funny to see. Like, basically, you're like a comic that has the ability to like also run a bit like a startup comic, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like all of the things you're describing. We've automated our subscriber list, so we have their email address. We know what city they're in. Just like it's so smart, and it's like kind of obvious that you should do that. But not many people are doing that right now.
No, not almost no one. And it's something that I wish the reason I'm so motivated behind this is I see the potential, not even just like DeAndre is like one character that Jolly is doing, but the amount of shit, like we made a sketch, me, him, and Jimmy Moynihan, where we just had, it was just like a funny sketch. It wasn't a DeAndre sketch. And that one did like 2 mil on YouTube. So it was like, oh, there's more potential here. We just have to make it. So I'm trying to like take, as Jolly has this fire behind him and all these eyes on him, it's like, what if I did differently? Would I be able to be selling tickets and go on a tour right now? Like because I'm at like 400, I think it's like 460,000 subs on YouTube.
Really?
And, yeah.
So now tell me, what does that mean? When you put up a video, does it get sent to all those people? No.
It's very different now. But where I was getting with that is I grew to that, and I didn't capitalize on any of it. I didn't build a community. I didn't find a way to sell tickets to them. I didn't like let them know I was touring. Like I did it all during pandemic. Like right now, if I could go back, all these things I'm doing for like Jolly and these videos coming up, if I did it for myself, I probably would have been selling tickets and doing one-nighters, maybe the occasional weekend right now.
Yeah.
But I didn't think to do it. I was too caught up with a startup.
Sure.
But now that going viral is something I know how to do, which is typically the hardest thing to do for most people.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, going viral is cool and getting a plaque is cool, but what does that mean? Like, oh, I got it. Look, check it out. But it's like, oh, cool. Or can you go do a weekend? It's like, fuck, no.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we turn that into a thing? And that's what we're trying to build right now. And I think a year of doing this with all the stuff we're setting up, it could, fingers crossed, be a tour.
Dude, I see the vision. That's awesome. Yeah. Now tell me about this movie idea. Do you have any specific movie, or just like if in the future I wanted to do one, I could?
And it's mostly just I want to just make really high quality comedy, whether it's like short film, sketch, or full movie.
Mm-hmm.
But did I tell you I was gonna make a movie?
You didn't say I'm going to make a movie. You said that if I wanted to make a movie, I could.
Oh, yeah, yes. So,
and but like even mentioning it is like, oh, you have dreams of making a movie.
Yes.
Which is different than a lot of other comics. And it's like you also clearly know how you would go about doing it, which I think is so fucking interesting and crazy. When you first started doing all of this, how old are you?
32.
You started at 32?
No, I'm 32 now.
So
when I first started doing all this stuff, I was I think I might have been 29 once I started making like really good shit. Probably 28 because I get good. Okay, so I was 28 when I started making good stuff. Before then, it was all just kind of, we got eventually, every now and then we got something to pop and get like 50 to 100K, but it was nothing like really grabbing attention. It was just like a funny video.
What do you think separated it? What's the difference?
The difference was I really, really started being harsh and hard on myself. I remember there was one specific night I remember during pandemic where I just was watching all my friends become famous in front of me. It was really weird. We had in Orlando in this little small group, it was of comics that were in there making content. It was Heather Shaw. It was my buddy oh my God, how am I drawing a blank? Ben Brainerd. It was also, oh my God, I want to look his name up. I can't believe
you can look it up if you want to. I can cut this part.
My phone's over there. I'll think of it.
Okay.
It's his name's Jeff. I can't. This is
Bolzol?
so embarrassing. No, he's he writes for fucking Seth Meyers. Well, basically, I had
Isn't Che from Florida too?
Che.
Dorena?
No, he's a Canadian dude.
Canadian.
He's
You're
from
right.
Canada.
Good call.
Yeah, but basically, I had like 4 or 5 friends go from 0 to over 1 million on TikTok. And they were just like, oh, cool. They're just going to go travel and do comedy, and they're getting all these deals. And I was making content with them, and nothing was working. Like, I wasn't collabing, but I was doing it at the same time. And the shift in perspective I had was like, oh, you don't need to know someone to blow up. You just have to make good shit or make something that people want. And I just started making content again, and I just looked at it, and I was like, why don't people like this? Or do people even understand what I'm doing? And then I just started every video I put out. I put the name of the premise of the joke was at the top of the screen. It was so cut and dry of like, this is what I'm going for. This is the market it's for. This is a video about Call of Duty about this problem. Boom. And I just did one a week for like an entire year. And that's where I started going viral like all the time.
Yeah.
And then I started applying that to my stand-up and my just normal sketches.
And when you started doing that, you just think it really helped. Did it help stand up as much as it helped sketches?
I think, you mean like help like my actual bits, or
yeah, like did you think your stand up got stronger just in the same way your sketches did?
I don't know if it helped the actual stand. I might have gotten like a little more confidence just because I was like, oh, I have a following now, you know?
Yeah.
But it didn't. I think the stand up is what helped the sketches.
Everything
I think
else.
It was inverse. I think it was me getting better at stand up. In doing, like you typically don't get good at stand up unless you're actually like self-reflective and can look at yourself, you know. And once you can honestly look at yourself through like a real lens of like, all right, here's what's wrong, and this is why people aren't laughing, you know. Once you can do that with stand up, if you can apply that same harshness to your writing of a sketch or eventually one day a movie, I'm sure that's when you start making really good shit.
Yeah. How, as someone that has done things very indie, how do you feel about the idea of like working with the industry? Is that something you want? Is that something you don't care about?
I don't know. The industry, yeah, obviously it would change what I'm doing from a hobby that potentially makes me some money to like, oh, I have a house because of this movie, you know, or because of this sketch show.
I know, but I mean, I know that this is probably not a good idea, but I just fucking hate the industry.
Dude, I hate when something is shot perfect, like you can tell there's like so much money behind it. It feels less funny to me.
For sure.
One of my favorite show, it might still be my favorite show, Always Sunny.
Great.
Their first like 8 to 10 seasons
were real.
Were so good.
It had more authenticity than now. It's not as good.
But it's shot. You can just tell the budget went through the roof.
Yeah.
Like they had so much steam behind them, and all this money got put into it, and it went from like something that felt relatable to like when you turn it on, it's like, oh, this is they're trying to be funny. You know, like, oh, this is written in a certain way, like it to be funny, versus like when you're watching something that feels a little grungy, a little gritty, you're just like
Tim and Eric, like you mentioned. I think that's a great example.
You watch it and you're like, it's not even so much I could do this, but it's like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like there's almost like a feel to it of like, not everyone is watching this.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of in on it.
Totally. I completely agree with that. Especially when, like you're talking about with Always Sunny, it feels like devoid of personality almost as so many hands get on it, it loses that like.
I don't want to shit on them too. I haven't seen a lot of their new stuff, but I remember I saw a couple of the newer ones and I was like, it's so overproduced. It's like, this is a comedy.
I'm okay with shitting on them because it's like, we cared about it, We cared about the first season. You said it's your favorite show of all time. I
didn't do the justice of watching. Maybe there was some.
No,
maybe there were some gems in there I missed.
Weren't.
Okay, cool. So I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy, no.
But yeah,
I don't know. I just like, there's a part of me that we're in the same generation. So when we grew up, it was very much like, we're quoting our favorite movies to our friends, and that's kind of like our inside joke. Was that just me?
I thought I was funny, and I was just quoting Family Guy and Step Brothers.
100%. But kids nowadays, because of the internet, and because comedy movies like hot take, they're not good anymore. But like, they don't even watch movies. They don't watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
They're just on TikTok, and there's a part of me that's like, okay, well then let Hollywood die. Fucking let's make our own movies for dirt cheap, have that quality that you're talking about. And I think the world is a lot more accepting of that now too, because they're used to just TikTok content that is your phone. When you make something with you and your, 5 buddies, even if your 5 buddies are like actual professionals, like a DP or a sound guy, I think it has so much more like attraction, at least to me. So I'm like, you know what, fuck, I don't care. There's a lot of comics that are like, I just want to get a fucking show on Netflix. It's like, I don't know. I would sell it to them afterwards, but I don't think I would want to be working with them. But then again, I'm fucking poor, so I'd probably just take any money they offered. I don't know.
See, that's where they get you. They'll throw the money at you.
But I think if you do it yourself, like Tim Dillon should make a movie and put it up on his Patreon.
Yeah, or he could just put it on YouTube and make money too.
Either way, YouTube. General. That's what I'm saying. Like, we shouldn't have those anymore, especially when there's guys that could do it on their own.
Yeah, especially now that you can just have a 6K camera at your house.
Yeah.
It used to be like impossible to create things. Like the stuff that we made, like you can tell there's a difference between if you were to turn on Netflix and watch one of their shows versus what I made on my YouTube. But it's like, it's shot like a real TV show and it looks good and it sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, now that was done on like a $20,000 budget and a bunch of friends who were down to just be a part of it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, all right, what if I 10x that budget and just made it myself? I'd be able to make something really fucking comparable to the way it looks on Netflix, I believe.
100%.
I think I could.
You could.
I need to see, I don't know what goes into, because I don't want to, part of me is like, I don't want to act like I know how to do everything. Because I'm sure with a production like something as big as like a Tires, for instance, there's probably a million jobs I don't even know that they have going on in the background to make it look that good. You know what I mean? There's probably like 20 positions
but
that I don't even think about.
But here's the thing. Tires was created because McKeever and Shane decided, ooh, this is a fun idea, and they shot something in the back of one of their dad's mechanic shops.
They shot the pilot on YouTube.
Guess what? When I watched the pilot, it's just as funny, and I enjoy it just as much as when I watch the show on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Like, think about it. What are some of the greatest comedy movies of like our childhood? Napoleon Dynamite. That was shot on a dog shit budget, and it's still iconic. I just don't know if all of that is necessary. People say like, oh, it needs to look really good. And I think to a certain extent, I think it needs to sound good, like you mentioned. I think there needs to be like pretty good lighting, and then you get I've seen, Sundance films shot on an iPhone. So it's like,
true.
I don't know. I just am like, I fucking hate the industry. And whenever I talk to people that are actively out there doing things, making things, I'm like, they're going to come to you and be like, Jake, we think what you're doing is so good. We love it. We want to work with you more. Is there any part of you that's like, yeah, fuck off? I wanted that, and then no one was interested in me. And now I figured out how to do it on my own. I don't need you. Why would I go to you now?
Because they'd be able to platform you and get you substantially larger. They take a cut, but then you make 50 to 100 times more than you would have on your own is the thought. But
do I need that?
But if you could build your own following and do it on your own, no, you don't need it. The only way I would ever really work with them is if the money was just so good, I'd be insane to say
Of course,
no.
yeah.
Or they were just like, yeah, you have full creative control. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll just platform you.
Sure.
Which that is the dream.
Is that real? Does anyone have that?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe.
I don't think someone goes, you know what? Here's our checkbook.
I think when you're
whatever
big,
you want.
when you're big enough, you can. I feel
But
like
when you're big enough, you could afford it. Shane Gillis could afford to do tires on his own. Put it up on his fucking Instagram.
yeah, but he's not going to get the Netflix money.
You're right.
So yeah, why not do it that way?
But the reason Jerry Seinfeld's worth as much money as he is isn't because of the fucking salary they paid him for Seinfeld. It's because he owns Seinfeld.
True, and he gets all the reruns on everything.
All of
that
it.
gets sold,
Every time the T-shirt is sold with Seinfeld's name on it, Jerry's cashing a check. You know. So I don't know. Whatever.
No, you're right.
Getting
You're
lost.
right.
You want to hear the rest of this conversation? The second half is waiting over on my Patreon at patreon.com/thejimmyclifford. I'll see you there.